Hi everyone. I know it's been a while since I recorded a video. Surprise, surprise, this always happens. And I always say that I'm going to be more consistent, but at this time, I think I'll just stop saying that because the reality is that I'll do this whenever I can and feel like it. But I do love watching journaling videos. I love recording journaling videos. This is the thing that I really love to do aside from reading. And I think that being part of this community and belonging in a time where we're, I don't know, alienated from everything and everyone is important. So I do want to prioritize it. I think the last video I made, I showed you all the journals that I had finished as of that time in 2025. And these are the ones that I've finished since that video and to date. And the year's about to be over, which is crazy. And I already have a system for 2026 that I plan to show you on a different video. But for now, I just wanted to go through the notebooks that have kept me company lately. So I think I'll leave this one for last because I don't know, I think it's the chunkiest one. And I'll start with my planner. The last one that I showed you was the first half of 2025, and this is the second half. It's the Traveler's Notebook insert, and here we go. I love the idea of photo booths, and realistically, I just cannot take my cats to a photo booth. So I just used a template on Canva and I printed just a few pictures that I had of them, and I wanted to have it in black and white. I always like to use like the beginning of a notebook to just add like funny things that I don't know, that would make me like laugh in the future. So when I put these, like I was watching Wednesday and I didn't like the last season like as much as the first one, but I still love the vibe, and just for the vibe I would just watch it again. And I just love Wednesday's character in general and her sense of humor and everything she represents. So regardless of whether or not I like the seasons, I'll just always try to include her in a notebook. And I have a black cat and I loved this image. I am simply a delicate angel with devilish tendencies. I thought that was really cute and it represents my cat really well. And then for this spread, like the initial idea, and I kept it for 2 months, a little bit under 2 months, was to just write a little, like a brief description of what that day was about. But then I just didn't do it anymore, and now I'm too lazy to go back and do it, so it'll stay that way. And this is where it starts. I think I was being like, I was into colors a lot more at the beginning of the notebook. I made this like collage type of thing for the dates myself, and I don't know if I like it. I think I wasn't, I think the colors that I chose were not very, not the colors in general, but the color for the number wasn't great because it was just lost in the background. I was really enjoying like making these little flowers as well. I think I stopped doing that, and I really like it, so I might do that again. So this week, a lot of pictures of my cats. I was watching The Sandman, which by the way, just the visuals of that show are everything to me. I love the vibe and the aesthetic of the show. My husband gave me the Hunger Games books for our anniversary, and I already finished them and I'm obsessed. And I think my experience with these books is different because I read them in the incorrect order. Like I read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes first, then Sunrise on the Reaping, and then the other three books. And I mean, I had already watched the movies, of course, but I feel like it was such a great way to be introduced into the series, and I cannot wait for the movie adaptation for the one for the Sunrise on the Reaping adaptation in November 2026. I rewatched the trailer and I am like I am so happy. Kept using the stickers even though I wasn't super happy about them. I also made some headers. I made it, so I was like, I need to use it. I think in theory, like when I look at it, like in retrospect, I like to do like the different highlights of the week or the day in color. But then I don't know, like I do remember like when the week was finished, I was really stressed out about the amount of color, and that's something that happens a lot. And I know this sounds very superficial, but it's like almost a physical reaction to color. And I don't know. So lately I've been trying to just like approach journaling in a way that it's always going to bring me peace. And even the things that I'm getting, like when I like do stationery shopping, which is not often anymore, but whenever I do it, I just try to make sure that I don't fall victim to impulse or of a style that I liked in the moment, and that I get things that I know that I'm always going to feel happy about. I hope some of that made sense. I don't even get it myself, so I wouldn't blame you. um so yeah, this is when my brother came to visit me. He lives in New Mexico, so we don't see each other often. And I just try to make the most out of that week. And I was printing a lot of pictures and just making sure to capture like every little moment. Another spread that made me super anxious because there's just so much happening. The things that I like about Traveler's Notebook's planning system are the same things that sometimes I hate. There's not a lot of space. And typically I like that because I don't use it for planning a lot. I use it mostly for member keeping, which is great. But then there's weeks where there's a lot happening, and then it's just so convoluted. Yeah, I don't know how to fix that, because then the alternative, which would be like a system with more space, then that's too much for me, like the Hobonichi cousin. So I don't know. For this year, for 2026, I'll be using a Hobonichi Weeks, and there's a lot of space in the back, so that kind of gives me a little peace of mind that I can always use that, but we'll see how that works. More Wednesday. I think this was the week where I was watching the show, and then my niece was visiting, my niece and my nephew, and she loves Cat's Eye. And she introduced me to Gabriella, one of their songs, and I was obsessed with that. I think I still am obsessed with that song, and I cannot tell you how many times I listened to that song that week. It was just crazy. I loved that we had time to, you know, I'm a mom, but of course the mother and daughter relationship is different from like the relationships that you have with your nieces and nephews. And I feel it was really cool to have some time to, talk to her and get closer and do things together. So yeah. This week was also really special because I drove my niece and nephew back to Florida, and I took some pictures that I was very happy with, but specifically this one right here. It's a picture that I took when I was inside the car and I was covering myself with a blanket, and the sun was hitting the blanket, and because of that it created some sort of like red light. And I don't know, it's silly, but I really like that. And then I also took a picture of a drawing that I made of my aunt when I was little. And I was in awe, first of all, because they had it like hanging in their house, and I thought that was, I don't know, I felt really proud about that. And second, because I feel like I really captured her. I feel like it really looks like her, and not just a portrait, but actually like her expression. And I don't know, the fact that I was able to capture that at such a young age, especially when I can barely draw now, I thought it was impressive, because I think it speaks more of my love for her than for any actual skill. So yeah, and this is a picture of my grandma. I didn't take this picture, but my brother, he's a great artist, and he took an old picture of my grandma and transformed it and created something with more quality that we could print. So I actually have a print of this, and I plan to put it in like just as decoration in my house. So very happy about that. I was also debating which Hobonichi cover to buy, and I loved the Tamagotchi cover so much. I wanted to get it so bad, but then I ended up having that same issue of color, and I was like, oh my god, what if I get this and I don't like it, and I spend so much money on it, and then it's just going to upset me and annoy me. So sadly, I didn't get it. I know that this issue and obsession with color has a lot to do with my autism. Um, and I'm trying to find a healthy way to cope with that, but I have not found it. Oh, I also watched K-pop Demon Hunters, which, oh my god, I loved it so much. Um, I want to watch it again. I think I've watched it twice now, but I want to watch it again. I love the song. Well, all those songs, but Golden in particular. Oh my god, I loved it so much. Lots of pictures here. My friend Annie came to visit me from Mexico, and every time she comes here, we do a lot of damage. And this time we went to Sephora and we went to Barnes and Nobles, and I cannot explain how much damage we did. I took her to a lot of coffee places that I like here in Atlanta, and she had a lot of fun, and I don't know, I miss her. Then I went back to what I think is more my style, which is a little bit more writing and some pops of color here and there, but not too crazy. I wish I wouldn't have highlighted that, but oh well. These were some of the things that I needed to do for school. That's what I like when I do plan, which is not often. I usually use like I'm sorry, this page right here for planning, and then this page for memory keeping. Same thing here, but there were also a lot of pictures that I wanted to take, so there was a little bit of both. This week was special because Victoria Schwab actually replied to one of my messages on Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe this. So I needed to have proof. And just some pictures, just some random pictures. I was watching the Twilight movies, which are terrible, but they're also amazing. Then this week I was watching, oh my god, what's the name of that show? Spy Family. And I love Anya. Like, honestly, like the premise of the show is like whatever, but just I would 100% watch this again just to have more time with Anya. I love her. This is again a bit more me. Like this feels peaceful to me. I love when I mix black with like some sort of like cream beige color. Like this is more me. Like this is something that it doesn't matter when I go back to the spreads, like I'm still okay with it. Like it doesn't overwhelm me. Same here. I wish I could recreate this every week, but again, sometimes I fall prey of liking color in the moment and then regretting it. But this is 100% me. This was the week of my husband's birthday, and I love that it's mostly writing. I love the way that looks, and I love going back and reading what I wrote. This was my birthday week. and we went to the new Universal Park. What's the name? Epic? Yeah, Epic Universe. So took some pictures there. The printing quality is just terrible, and I feel like I just managed to improve that with the new paper that I got, but for most of my year, it was just terrible. And then this week, it was just going back to reality, and I think this is when I filmed the other video. I love this picture of myself. I was trying to find, I always think about how angles say a lot of how we perceive ourselves. I think most selfies are always taken like from the top, like from above, and I wanted to play with different angles, and I wanted to have like a almost like a self portrait where the angle was not entirely comfortable but was also not entirely great either. And I was playing with this idea that reality is always like in the middle of things. So I don't know. I just wanted to play with that. This was the week of the homecoming dance, and I took a lot of pictures of my daughter and of my cat because of course. And I don't know. I also like to play with like different fonts. I love to have a little bit of this type of font and on this side, and then like my just regular handwriting here. As usual, like I always use the rabbit, I don't know her handle, rabbit handcraft, or I'm not sure, but I love her stickers so much. I use her all the time. I love the color scheme that of her stickers because I never get overwhelmed with them. Okay, so this week we went to a little town here in Georgia, which is called Helen. It's such a beautiful place. It was really fun to go. And then this week we made pizza, and it was amazing. I had a lot of school stuff to do, and I can always tell because usually when I have a lot to do, like what I write feels a little bit more chaotic and just like random comments here and there. So yeah. This week was super awesome because the Florence and the Machine album came out, and my friend and I did like a listening party, and we were just analyzing the lyrics and choosing our favorites. It was also an exam week, so it was kind of chaotic as well, but I was very inspired. My favorite song from the album is Drink Deep, and I just put the lyrics here and I made a little edit on Canva. And then this was the week after. I love this picture of the cats because they were all like in line because I was eating and they were just watching me eat. And I don't know, I love the, like, again, I just love the combination of this font with that font. I was also reading The Bell Jar, and I loved it. I think it became, and I'm saying I think because it's a big statement, but I think it's actually my favorite book now. This week, a lot to do, you can tell, because there's almost nothing. This was the week that I ordered my Louise Carmen for 2026, which I'm very excited about, and I already started using because I could not wait. So yeah, this is with the new paper. Probably it'll be some glare, but the picture quality is just so much better. So that's the one that I'll use moving forward. But again, lots of to-dos and not a lot of writing, which I'm not a fan of, but hey, it's the reality. Again, so happy with the printing quality. Like, I cannot stress that enough because, like, seriously, it's just such a difference. And now I can actually go back and look at the picture and not try to figure out what the picture was of. So Yeah, I finished Her One Regret by Donna Freitas, I don't know. And it was a thriller, like a motherhood thriller. I the thriller element was whatever, but I love the themes that it discussed, and it was a lot about, the taboo of regret, the regret of motherhood, and how that is seen in society. And motherhood is a theme that I love in general. I love reading about motherhood. I'm a mom, so I think that there's just so much to say. There's so many experiences that need to be heard, and so many that are still yet to be written, because it's so motherhood can be so unique to everyone. So I love reading about that, and I feel like even though the thriller element was predictable in a way, and there was a lot of, I don't know, there were a lot of things that I was like, oh, this could have been done better. I still think that just because of the message is a book worth reading, and in a format that might be a lot more readable for some people that are just beginning to approach that subject. And yeah, I started the Hobonichi weeks on the 1st of December, so I didn't do anything else here. So that's this insert. I love how fluffy it looks compared to how it started. And yeah, so sad to archive it, but also, I don't know, I had a good time here. I'm going to go through this one first. I've talked to you about this one before because this notebook is pretty special to me because my sister designed it, and it's just so beautiful. And I was a little bit intimidated at the beginning because I typically go for small inserts so that like I know for a fact that I'm gonna finish it. So I was a little bit intimidated. Again, fell victim to the color trap here. Now I'm very upset about the colors that I chose, but I already finished it, so it's fine. You see, more color. And that's the thing, like it feels great when I do it. It's after the fact that I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Originally I wanted to just write book recommendations here, but I ended up just putting the pictures because I had them. I ended up reading this one, and this one, but I haven't read Rouge by Mona Wad. I feel like I might not get to it in 2025, to be honest, but glad I read most of those. So, I mean, this book is my personal diary, and it's mostly writing and a few pictures here and there, but I still wanted to, you know, honor it and show you guys. This is my drawing of Panda Express, the Panda Express logo, and this was drawn by my niece. Oh my gosh, she's so talented, honestly. Sometimes I'll do like I'll write at different times of the day, and I like to put the hour, so that's what you're seeing there. I love making these flowers. I don't know why, like it's just so satisfying. And even though it's red, like I don't mind the red. I don't know. We were playing Hello Neighbor. Oh, I mean, my niece, nephew, and daughter were playing, and I was kind of like, I had some role in this game. I had to like find them. I'm still not sure I got the game, but yeah. And some pictures of them. They're so beautiful. This is a drawing of a really special day that and moment that I had with my niece and my daughter, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and I like that I did the writing like that. Yeah, I'll try to flip fast because, oh, this is a project that my brother is a part of, and it's called Food Not Bombs, and they basically feed the homeless, and they have a whole team, and there's even a chef in the team. So I don't know, it's pretty cool. Let me see if I can show you like the whole so there's like food and like I don't know, like the logo's pretty cute. Today's society puts possessions over profits. I don't know, like visually is just really appealing, and they're doing such a great job, and such a necessary job too. So yeah, this day I watched a Cuban movie called Sweet Havana. I'm originally from Cuba, and I'm doing my best to read more Cuban authors and watch more content made by Cuban artists. So that was me watching that. It's such a beautiful movie. Nobody talks in the movie. It's free on YouTube if you want to watch it. Nobody talks, so you don't need to speak Spanish to watch it. But I strongly recommend it because you can have such a detailed and honest picture of the Cuban reality by just watching that film. And again, nobody talks. It's a silent film, and it's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever watched. Just some terrible sketches that I made the day that we went to Six Flags. More terrible sketches. This art is by an author that I met in Hawaii, and I just wanted to make sure that I kept it glued somewhere that I was always going to see it. Pictures of us together. I was experimenting a lot with this journal. As you can see, like I was changing colors, which again I regret, but I allowed myself to experiment with that, which is something that I struggle with. And I think that's the reason I like it. Like I think you could say that this is not pretty. Like this is not a notebook that has been aesthetically curated, and that's what I love about it. I feel like it's so easy to fall trap of that and just feel this need to always make everything beautiful. And I think by not doing that, we're also like it's also beautiful. I hope that I hope I conveyed that idea well. But yeah, lots of pictures. Again, I didn't have any rule for this. I was just being. I made a list of like all the movies and shows that I had watched, because I wanted to make another notebook that I'll show you at some point. Oh, and then I was thinking a lot about Johari's window, and this is I guess you could say this is a model to like know yourself. And then it's like this quadrant where there's like the things that are known to yourself, and the things that are not known to yourself, which is your blind spot, and there's like a hidden area and the unknown, and there's a whole process. I could make a video about it because I think it's pretty interesting. Let me know if you've heard of that. Then I put some pictures of my cat and my daughter. I did this like friendship bingo with to like start scratching things with my best friend, and so far we've only done these, and I've known her for 20 years, so there's a lot there that we still want to do. We tried to make it really hard so that we had time to complete it, and it was just not something that we could like complete in a year or something. Then I discovered this channel. It's Josephine, and she made a video on how to honor your curiosities. And I think lately I feel like the algorithm is starting to get the things that I like. And the type of content that I'm being thrown is just exactly the type of content that I want to see. And I've started to pay more attention to the things that I watch and engage with the things that I watch a little bit more deeply. So I was writing about what I thought about the video and just trying to connect with that. Picture that I took of our house that I loved. Then this day was special because I saw 2 deers outside. The day I see a deer is always a special day. I'm from Cuba, so deers are not something that are very common. I mean, you can't see them, period. So I feel like when I came here to Georgia and I saw that, like you could just wake up on a random day and see one, it was just like that idea was just so magical. I would never understand someone that sees a deer and just wants to shoot them. Like that'll just never click with me. But yes, just some funny image, of course, of a cat. I don't know why it reminds me of Jack Nicholson on The Shining. I don't know if that's just me. More pictures. I try to print a lot of pictures because I feel like, especially when you paste them in a journal, it's like you have this little window to that moment, and I love that idea. Then I was trying to purchase a new bag to like go to work at coffee places and everything. I work from home, so it's important for me to have a spacious bag where I can keep my laptop and books and whatever. I ended up not getting any of these, and the one that I got looked more spacious than it actually was. So now I think I'm gonna have to sell it, and I hate it because I spent so much time trying to find the perfect bag that it just bothers me that it didn't work out. More writing. I did a lot of writing. This book covers July through November, and I feel like I wrote a lot, especially considering that I have a tiny handwriting. Yeah. This was the map of the place that we stayed when we went to Epic Universe. And I wanted to have it. Some more images of Epic Universe. My cats. This picture is one of my favorites. That's a little one. His name is Felix, and he's a year old, and he's crazy, and he deceived us because he was just so sweet when we got him, and now he's just, yeah, I don't even have a word for him. What can I say? More writing. Okay, this is, I know this is ugly, but I love it because this is when I started writing workshop, and it was such a great exercise. I loved that we had 15 minutes to write, you know, the assignment, and that's it. Even if it was not perfect, even if it was not complete, that was it. You had 15 minutes, and I feel like I got rid of my fear of writing something that's not perfect. This is all stuff that I wrote for that, and I love that I captured that in my actual journal. I love that it's all in one place. It's made me think a lot about maybe instead of having a commonplace journal and a reading journal and a blah 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 journal, to just keep everything in one place and just make my journal be whatever it needs to be in a specific moment. I'm still hesitant, like I haven't decided, but I think it would be so cute. For example, this is a dream that I had, and I love that I kind of made it into visuals, and I love that it's in the same place where I write, like, you know, my daily feelings and things that are happening, because now when I go to this journal, I can see everything that was in my mind at a specific time. Like I don't have to go to 100 notebooks to see where my head was at, even if that doesn't look super pretty or super aesthetic. So I don't know, just some things I'm considering for 2026. Yeah, so I typically put the date with a stamp. Now I think I'm gonna change to this stamp because I was always so lazy to do this because I had to like ink each of the letters and just do it. And sometimes, like, if I took my journal with me to a coffee shop, like I couldn't take all that with me. So I think it's more productive and just easier to carry this around. So I don't know, we'll see. I love this drawing right here. I don't know how to translate this to English, but when I was little, my mom used to say that I was a hair plant because I had a lot of hair. I still do. I had a lot of hair, and it was just so hard to like comb through. So I thought, like, this day for the very first time, I saw the visual of that, like being a hair plant, what that would look like, and I tried to draw it with my terrible skills, and I don't know, I just think it's interesting. more writing, pictures of the cats. These are the OGs, Tom and Ash. He's 8, he's 7. And this is my baby right here. Like, that's like, he's just my familiar. I love him so much. The orange one is more attached to my daughter. Yeah, more writing. I saved the thing that came with the Louis Carmen. Writing. I love that I have this. I love that I'm writing more. I used to write like a third of what I write now. And I think that's because it's helping. Like, doing this is helping, having this practice. And I don't know, like, being more disciplined is helping to get a lot more out that was just not that I was not expressing before. And clearly I have a lot to say, and clearly there's a lot in my mind that needs a space. And I'm glad that I'm doing this, because sometimes I go back and I read through some of the spreads and I'm like, I had no idea I had thought of that. And it's very helpful. It's very helpful because I'm recording little pieces of myself, and I'm gonna be able to look back on those. So yeah. And last but not least, I have this notebook right here. And this one is not finished yet. I'm halfway through, but I wanted to show you what I've been working on. After this one, I'm not sure if I'm going to move, like I said, everything into one notebook for 2026, or if I'm still going to keep it separate. This is, I mean, you could say this is a commonplace, but not really. It's mostly the books that I've read, but sometimes I'll write about something else or I'll include other things. But I've been so busy that it's mostly the books I read. But in theory, like, I usually keep a separate spread for not just the books that I've read, but movies I've watched and things that would qualify as commonplace entries, like articles and things that have caught my attention, etc. This one right here was this is a comic, The Gigantic Beard That Was Evil. And this one, I think, okay, I liked it. I thought that the storytelling was great. I love the visuals. And I feel like the only issue that I had with it is that it just created like a negative feeling, because it reminded me of a movie that I watched when I was little. So that's why I'm like hesitant to like rate it or something, because I feel like it wouldn't be fair, because I'm comparing it to, I guess the feeling that I'm having is not based on the actual comic, but on that movie that I watched. But I think it's really good in the way it touches about identity, especially nowadays where there's this like desire to be like everybody else and to have the same aesthetic as everybody else. And I feel like it provides a lot of useful and needed commentary on that. Then I wrote the short story by Sally Rooney, Mr. Salary, which is honestly, like, it was okay. I think with Sally Rooney, it's always like a hit or miss for me. And this one was, it was very much her style. It was a really, really short story. And I felt like I was going back to intermezzo, but in a good way. I love the way she portrays relationships and the complications and intricacies of a relationship. I think that there's a lot of interpretations that can be made out of this one in particular, and it just felt real, which I liked. But at the same time, there's something that happens with her style of writing where I'm just like, I don't feel anything about the characters. It's more what I feel in general about their relationships, what, gets my attention. Then I read Everybody Leaves by Wendy Guerra. She's a Cuban author. I'm obsessed with this book. Definitely a book that I would save if my house was on fire. She talks about her own life, and I think most of the journal entries here, if not all of them, are her actual journal entries. So yeah, it reminded me a lot of Annie Ernaux in like that honesty when writing, but the difference is that this is done with journal entries, so it's a lot more intimate. And she talks about her experience growing up in Cuba with people leaving all the time, with her particular situation of an absent father and a mother that is too much for everybody else. And then I don't know, it's very complicated, but she talks a lot about politics, of course, because it's impossible not to talk about politics if you live in Cuba. And she also talks about the Cuban reality, not just in terms of politics, but the type of the way people grow up in Cuba creates this like distance between being educated and being in, I don't know, between instruction and education. And I wish that I could explain this a little bit more, or in more depth. I'll probably make a video out of that, but I definitely recommend it. I felt so seen, and reading this book made me want to read more Cuban authors and made me want to devour this type of autobiographical fiction, because it just feels so intimate. And as somebody that keeps a diary, I just feel so connected to her and her life and her reality, which was at some point my reality, because I lived in Cuba until I was 17. So I adored it. Then after that, I needed to pick up another book by her, and I read Negra. I guess like the literal translation would be Black Woman. And I loved it as well. And it covers many of the themes that you see on this one. This one is not autobiographical, it's completely fictional, but I also loved it in a different way, not more than this one. I think this is one of my favorite books, and this one is just very good and I love it, but in a very different way. I also think that it was very brave, because she's a white woman and she wrote from the perspective of a Black woman, and I feel like that was not only very well done but very brave on her end. Then just my thoughts on Catching Fire and some of the quotes that I liked. I reread Vicious by V. Schwab because I wanted to read Vengeful. Another comic, this one is Saint Catherine by Anna Mayfair, and I really like the images on this one. I think that this is my type of comic. It's it touches a lot on guilt, I mean, from the perspective of Catholic guilt, but guilt in general. Some thoughts on Mockingjay. I feel like overall, if I have to say something about the Hunger Games series, is that I love the fact that they're written for young adults, because I feel like everybody should read those books now and should grow up on those books. Then I read In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, a book that is just so genius, and it's the way it's written is just amazing. It's so honest and real, and such great representation of things that are not usually represented when it comes to violence, and especially violence in queer relationships. So all I can say is just go read it. Then I read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This book was sitting in my bookshelf for a year, and I have no idea why I did not prioritize it. I had no clue this book was going to leave me in such a state of, like, I don't know, like I was just mute after reading it. I didn't know what to say. It took me a while to write this because it was just so much in my mind. It's just an exploration of the human condition. I love the reflections that the author puts out there about the importance of thinking, of questioning, of language, of knowledge as a tool to examine our beliefs and our existence. I don't know. It's just such a wonderful book. Please pick it up if you have it in a bookshelf and, like me, were waiting to read it. Then I read Aborto en la Escuela, Abortion at the School. It's an experimental book by Kathy Akin. The first book that I read by the author. It's a weird book, like a very weird book, because it's not linear, and it's chaotic, and it's rare in the way that it tells a story. It changes elements and changes from like prose to drawings to parodies to diary, and it feels like reading somebody's journal, basically. From what I've read about Kathy Acker, this was done on purpose, and she's trying to defy the rules of narrative. So it was hard to read, and I had to like just leave it like on pause for a while and then go back, because it's done on purpose. Um, it talks a lot about like the fragmentation of identity, and it mixes texts from other authors and kind of like collages everything together. But it again, it's all on purpose, and it's almost reading it, it's almost like challenging the status quo. So finishing it was a must, even though it was hard. Then I read Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. This one I loved. This is my type of book. Again, this was about motherhood, and it's just one of those books that you have to wait a little bit to completely digest it. I love the fact that we follow a nameless mother. I feel that in itself says a lot. And it talks about the constant, like the duality that mothers live between like this like personal intimate life and the life of what a mother should be. It talks about identity, it talks about the domestication and idealization of being a mother. It talks about feeling invisible, about art, about feminism, and it does it really well. Then I read Ripe by Sarah Rose Eder. I love this one as well. It talks about capitalism, and we follow a character that I actually loved, because she has a way of seeing the world that is just that I felt was very real. And she lives in a world where, well, actually in our world, where capitalism has taken over everything, and she works at a tech company where you can see that even more, and it feels like a cult, and there's no space to be herself and to be real and to show herself and take the mask off. And actually it's like the opposite. The mask is encouraged. To being effective and productive is the only thing that matters, and we see that unravel in the story. Then I read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, which is, again, another favorite book. The atmosphere here was just phenomenal, and I've never read anything like this. There's just so much symbolism, so much to say about class and about feminism and about identity and about being ourselves, and it's just all done so well. And at times I felt like I was inside a Tim Burton film, but in prose. And I love the main character. I love the way this is written, and I could just talk about this book forever. Wuthering Heights, honestly, I'm going to disappoint everybody. It's okay. I think my expectations were so high that I don't know, like I can recognize that this is a great book in terms of the way that it's written, and the story that it tells, and how it just describes how destructive love can be, and such a great representation of Gothic literature. I can see that, and I can still not like it. And maybe I'm being unfair. It's not that I don't like it. I don't know. I just didn't connect. I just didn't connect with the characters. And my appreciation for the work is there, but it's not a book that I would read again. I loved the way it reflected, like what I said, like the destructive nature of love. And and the storytelling was also really great, and the atmosphere. But I am such a character person, and I didn't like anybody, so I think that's what happened. Then I read My Friends by Frederick Bachman, and this book made me cry so much. This book is about friendship, about feeling lonely in a world that's becoming more and more alienating. It talks about art and what real art is and the way to appreciate art and how art connects us all, and finding, our family amongst friends. And it does it so beautifully. I feel like it's the first book that I read about Frederick Bachman, and I think he has a way of writing where it just takes you back to your childhood and makes you, instead of like reading, it's like you're feeling everything that the characters are feeling and saying. And there's just so much nostalgia that's present in each of the sentences, and I loved it. Then I read La Campana de Cristal, or The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and this book broke me. This book I need to reread this 4, 5, 6 times. Today I can say this is my favorite book. I cannot see any other book meaning so much to me than this one. It's a very sad book, and trigger warning for suicide and so many things, but it's a book that's worth reading. There's so many quotes, as you can see, that I wrote down. Then aside from the quotes, I had to write about things that I thought and that I felt, and the way it touches on mental health, and the way that patients that had mental health issues were treated, and a comparison with how women were treated, and the way it touches on suicide, not so much as to not live, but as a way to stop pain, mother and daughter relationships, the way to look at identity, and how to be in a world where there's so many closed doors for women, and how to build an identity in this same world where being an artist, it's almost like looked down, especially if you're a woman. Like being a woman that's a writer was just such a hard thing to conceive. Again, more questioning about art, but also showing art as a tool for mental health. And just, again, so much that I could say about the book. But this is a flip through, and I'm trying not to lose track of that. Then I watched Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro, and I've watched so many videos of people with opinions about the movie, and I respect all of them, but I believe this is a work of art. I think that even the things that people are highlighting as not being like well done are amazing. Some, like, just to mention one, for example, a lot of people are saying that in Mary Shelley's original work, which I've read twice, the purpose of Elizabeth having such a backstage character is on purpose, because of course she's representing the way, the role and the space that she had in society, and she was backstage. But I feel like people are missing out on the fact that when Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, she was putting herself in the story, and she was telling her own story through the character as well in some way. And I feel like what Guillermo del Toro is doing here, or did here, was to do the same, but with him. Like he's also telling his story and his point of view through the film, kind of as a way to honor her. And giving Elizabeth a front stage is not to change the story or to diminish or ignoring the fact that Mary Shelley was representing herself the way she saw herself, as like in this like backstage because society put her there. But he's actually giving her a more protagonic role on purpose. Like he is putting Mary Shelley in the light that he sees her, and I feel like that's just so beautiful. And yeah, like I love it. I love it. I love the way that it focuses on fatherhood as well, and the cycle of violence and the symbolism around that we can find in the movie. It's one of the most exceptional films that I've ever watched, and such an honor, and such an honor to Mary Shelley's work. And then I wrote a little bit about Her One Regret, the book that I was mentioning earlier by Donna Freitas, which I've talked a little bit about, and not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that to you guys. And yeah, that brings me to halfway of the insert. And that's it. That's everything I've done since the last video. I plan to make another one with my setup for 2026, which I'm also very excited about. And I'll tell you all about it on the next one. Bye-bye.